motivation and discipline do not work for productivity. And even if it did work, it is not reliable long term. The real key to productivity is, hi, my name is Raval and I am a life and mindset coach for ambitious women who know they deserve better. I help them shift their mindset and manifest their goals that are already yours. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one as your private life coach for 6 months, then make sure to DM me on my Instagram or book a free consultation in my calendar. The link to my Instagram and the calendar is in the description below. For years, I've been trying to be productive and feel like I'm doing enough. And for years, I have felt like I failed. I recently heard on a podcast that consistency does not 100% guarantees success, but inconsistency definitely guarantees no success. And to be consistent, you need to show up every day, and not just show up, but show up productively. I do think I have undiagnosed ADHD because it has been so hard for me to be able to focus as my brain loves short-term gratification. However, I do think that in time I've been able to trick my brain into being productive on demand without stressing myself and still being in my feminine energy. So how did I stop relying on motivation and discipline and became so productive? I recently came across Ali Abdaal's new book, Feel Good Productivity, that also mentions this tip. And that book is the reason why I was inspired to make this video. Luckily, because I am a certified life coach, I have been able to decipher this issue way before the book came along. And I'm sure other coaches have as well, because that is what we learn when we are certified. But after reading Ali's book, it confirmed this tip for me that has worked so well, which is why it's worth mentioning. Ali in his book writes about procrastination and mentions about this weird video that he saw which had 50 million views about this young man approaching a guru to ask advice for how to become rich. They agreed to meet by a beach next day so that the guru can explain the answer. The next day they meet by the beach and this guru asks this young man to go towards the water and keep walking. And as the man walks towards the water, the guru keeps asking him to keep walking again and again until his head is almost submerged in the water. Suddenly this guru comes behind him and submerges his head even more into the water so that it's hard for this young man to breathe. He only lets him breathe just before he was about to drown. Then this guru tells him that when you want to succeed as badly as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Now the story tells us that unless you don't want it bad enough, it's not going to happen for you. It tells us that you need to rely on motivation. And then Ali mentions that this story about motivation and just relying on motivation is not enough, and I agree. Motivation is a feeling, and just like any other feeling, it comes and goes. It is not permanent. All feelings are temporary. Then Ali mentions about discipline, which is where you take action no matter how you're feeling, which is the exact opposite of motivation. Now discipline, in my opinion, does last much longer than motivation and is much more reliable than motivation. But again, it requires willpower. Think about it. We all want to make our goals happen. Then why reaching these goals is not exciting? Then why do we need to rely on a tool like discipline to help us? Discipline doesn't feel good, but why do we rely on it? Why are we not just happily taking action? Then he goes on to write in his book that although motivation and discipline are useful strategies, they're simply band-aids covering up deeper wounds. Chances are that there is something happening much deeper inside of you that is stopping you from achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve. This is where he writes about his third strategy, which is called the Unblock Method. This method encourages us to understand why are we feeling bad about the work that we want to do in the first place. As a coach, my job is to dig deeper into my clients' thoughts and perceptions to understand why they are doing what they're doing so that I can bring it into their self-awareness. Believe it or not, a lot of the times that we are not taking these actions, we don't understand why. Even when we ask ourselves, our brain responds with, I don't know. Now I'm going to mention a few reasons as to why you might be procrastinating, and these reasons are related with what I have seen personally with my clients. Number one is lack of clarity. You're simply not clear as to why you want to do this task. You don't have a vision as to why this task is important to you and how is it helping you long term. In Ali's book, he mentions a strategy that you can use to help yourself get clear. And that strategy is called the 5 whys. You simply start by asking yourself why this task is important. Then you ask why again and again and again until you have reached the core reason. By the time you reach the 4th or the 5th why, you should know the deeper reason. Let me take myself for example. Why am I making this YouTube video? I will answer that with, I'm making this YouTube video because I want to make an income from YouTube. And then I would ask myself again, why? And my answer would be that I want to work for myself and not for others, and I want to create coaching clients from YouTube. Why? Because I want to have financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom. Why? Because freedom is my core value, and when I go against this core value, I feel very unhappy. Do you see how it got deeper with every why? And I only had to do 4 whys to get there. Every time you take on a task, do this exercise, and this itself will help you become more productive. And it will also help you motivate yourself. The second reason why you might be procrastinating is due to either fear of success or fear of failure. For example, you want to start a new business, but your deep-seated fear of success or even failure, which by the way, you're not even aware of, is blocking you from actually taking action. But what if you thought of this new project of starting a new business as a game that you have to complete? And each time you fail, you're not actually failing, but understanding why it has not worked and what you can do differently. Think of them as check-in points or experiments. Scientists and engineers do not judge themselves for failing when an experiment does not work. Instead, they keep tallying them and pivot each time. They love failing because each time they fail, they get more answers. Behind every successful person, there is a mountain of failure. They may look like an overnight success, but that's not true because it took them years to get there and no one has seen their background. And therefore, no one has seen any hard work that's been put on for years. The third reason why you might be procrastinating is because you just want everything to be perfect. Striving for perfectionism can paralyze action. In this scenario, if you do choose discipline, it may lead to overthinking, and motivation may be hindered by the fear of not achieving flawless results. So you have to understand, where is this perfectionism mindset coming from? Is it something that your parents instilled in you when you were young? Maybe they wanted you to have perfect grades, and now as you've grown up, it's become a pattern in your brain that you just cannot get rid of. Everything needs to be perfect, but when it's not, you are just dissatisfied. So really ask yourself, how is perfectionism helping you when it's blocking you from even starting a task? You are failing here anyways because you're not even starting a task. So does that mean you're perfectly failing? Instead, what if you embrace the messy actions, or even embrace the concept of good enough? Set achievable milestones instead of aiming for perfectionism, because perfectionism is just procrastination that is just dressed really pretty. Simply put, it's bullshit, and it's just a way for you to buy more time. Nothing is perfect. Perfect does not exist, so decide to bin the idea today. If you're still watching this video, then use that as a homework to bin this idea this week. Every time this week you think of something being perfect, decide that it's not achievable and take messy actions anyway. Fourth reason for procrastination could be task magnification. To put that in simple terms, the tasks seem extremely overwhelming in your brain, but in reality they're not really that hard or complex. Overestimating the difficulty of a task can lead to avoiding it completely. In this case, discipline and motivation will not work because in your brain, the task is an overwhelming challenge. Let's take weight loss for example. You want to lose 30 pounds and that feels super overwhelming, and you think to yourself, what is even the point? It's never going to happen. I will not be able to stay consistent with this. And so you decide to either forget it or procrastinate on it. But what if you gamify this whole project, broke it down to levels? So you complete level 1 when you lose 2 pounds. And anytime you reach a level, you reward yourself. If you created this nice chart with levels, and with each level that you achieve, you receive a reward. By the way, don't sleep on rewarding. I have seen my clients even procrastinate on rewarding themselves for the next level. But that can hinder your process because you're not giving yourself any sort of satisfaction. When you reward yourself, that's when you feel like you actually have achieved a result. And when you reward yourself for achieving that result, then motivation comes into play. You could also break down this goal into habits. Every goal needs 2 to 3 habits. So if you want to lose weight, you create 3 habits. Habit number 1 being no more snacking between meals. Habit number 2 could be no more junk food except once a week. And habit number 3 could be 3 liters of water per day. Taking on these habits and tracking them daily will itself help you to achieve many levels of the game. Fifth reason of procrastination could be impaired executive function. Issues with executive functions such as planning, organizing, and time management can undermine your ability to successfully apply discipline and motivation. For example, you struggle to start a task because of difficulty in organizing your thoughts and creating a plan. It's no wonder you're procrastinating because you don't have systems in place. You haven't scheduled it in and you haven't decided where to start from. Someone once said, failing to plan is planning to fail. This is why it's important to plan your next day the night before and really envision the steps that you want to take. If a task feels difficult, break it down even more and schedule them all in. Make such a plan that even a 5-year-old could understand it. If I tell myself film a YouTube video, that's not a plan. I have to sit down for 2 hours prior to this filming to even think of what video I want to create, what is the title, what is the thumbnail, and and what is my script going to look like. That's when I will have a clear plan to film a YouTube video and schedule it all in, and it won't require much motivation or discipline. So use tools like calendars and project managements and even a to-do list. I personally use the apps Todoist, Notion and Structured to plan my projects and as well as my daily life. Sixth reason for procrastination could be temporal discounting. Procrastination can sometimes involve immediate rewards over long-term gains. In this case, again, discipline and motivation may struggle against the allure of instant gratification. Your brain just loves quick rewards because that's what it has been programmed for so long. Why would your brain want to choose a hard task such as planning a business when it can get its rewards by watching Netflix? This is when it's important to visualize the long-term benefits of achieving this task. What would happen if you choose to plan your business instead? This is when you also use rewards for completing small goals to counterbalance the delayed gratification. So you can still receive rewards, but instead of getting rewards from Netflix, you're now getting rewards from actually planning your business. By addressing all of these reasons that I have mentioned, you can gain a deeper understanding of your procrastination tendencies and develop targeted strategies for overcoming them, going beyond the traditional reliance on motivation and discipline. This brings me to the end of this video. If you want to work with me one-on-one as your private coach, then make sure to DM me on Instagram or book a consultation below. The link to my calendar and my Instagram is in description box. Make sure to like and subscribe to this channel if you are a returning viewer and you found this video helpful. Take care of yourself and I'll see you next time.